So welcome. Now, if you've got a lot of content to get through, but you sometimes struggle to ensure that that content sticks for all your students, this interview is for you. Now, Matthew Johnson, he's an author, he's an illustrator, he's a storyteller, and he was formerly in the advertising industry. So he really knows how to get information to stick with people. Now, what he's going to share with you are some strategies you can use that's going to help make your content stick. Now, also, the cool thing is at the end of the video, you'll find out how, but he's donated books and resources of his work to Unleashed Learning members. So watch the end of the video and you'll see how you can get a chance to get one of his resources and see exactly the magic of the work that he does. So let's get started. So welcome. Thanks for being here, Matthew. I'm super excited you're here. One of the reasons I wanted to interview you is you are a master at storytelling, illustration, using symbols, taking complex ideas and making accessible to people. And so can you tell us, you have a background in advertising. So why are stories, symbols, and pictures such important tools to unleash learning for people?
Well, thanks for having me,
Yeah.
William. Look, I think stories, I've realised as an author and as a speaker, I do a lot of public speaking, that adults really never cease to love a good storybook. You know, I think of myself quite often when I'm doing talks as a talking comic strip. I have a lot of imagery, and I think, you know, quite often, you know, there is truth in a picture tells 1,000 words. And I think basically you can get across a concept or an idea in the snap of a finger or the blink of an eye. And I just think it's a great way you can have a story that you can be telling of your own situation or your own storyline or a metaphor, and then you combine that with a slightly different image. And then you get people working on two different levels. And I think, you know, that's what I learned in advertising. You know, one of the things that I learned about advertising is that you never repeat what's in the picture in the headline. So it's got to work on two different levels, if that makes sense. So I was thinking about one on the way over here. One of my favourite ads was an ad for Porsche, and it was just a picture of a Porsche, and it said your dog will stick its head out the window, but it'll only do it once. you didn't need that picture.
That's
there was
right.
just a sports car. It was
Yeah.
brilliant. So that's what I love, is just getting where people in the audience, you know, whether it's a classroom or whether it's a hall full of people, and just you get people nodding. You know, they get it.
They get it.
They get it.
They get it.
Yeah.
So, you know, one of the things that we do at Unleashed Learning is we help teachers and schools take really complex ideas because we don't learn with, you know, we talk about the brain is not a fact factory or bullet points don't actually work.
Yeah.
There's ways to organize this that makes learning stick, just like you said. So when it comes to symbols or stories, or let's even think about just pictures, what are the best kinds of pictures we should be thinking about that you think really helps make learning stick?
I think the simpler the better. When I look at, you know, I've only got my own sort of work to talk about as a reference point, but I suppose I look at them as set pieces.
Yeah.
They're kind of like a one-person or a two-person play. Quite often in my work, you'll often see just a horizon line in the background, and there'll be two people or an object or something going on. And I think it's just, you know, how do you telegraph a complex issue in the most sensible, simple kind of way? And I guess, again, if I go back to my history as an ad guy, you know, doing a billboard on the side of a freeway was the biggest challenge, and quite often the one that we like to do the most, because you've got 2 or 3 seconds, person hurtling along in a car doing 100 kilometers an hour, to take in a brand, take in an idea, read a headline, and see the picture in 2 or 3 seconds. Same thing, you know, and I think it's the same thing with kids or with corporates or whoever, of just how do you telegraph that simple idea in a way that they can see and not really have to think about it too much. And I take the same approach when I publish my books. I kind of treat them all like an ad. They should all be able to be read or all be able to be understood without having to read the words.
That's a really powerful, that the image should be understood without needing to explain it or reading the words.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So, and it's not, you know, I quite often, for me personally, I find if I have to overthink something, it's not normally very good. And I can't explain my creative process. It's sort of like an artesian well. It just sort of comes up on its own accord. But, you know, when I kind of clap my hand or click my finger and go, that's it, you know, it's normally the one.
Yeah, fantastic. So the last question I want to ask you is, in our online program, we do a thing around using PowerPoint. And for people that don't use PowerPoint or Google Slides or whatever they use, it's sometimes the most important thing they learn, and they use it all the time. So we help them take complex ideas and replace it with pictures and stories and symbols to really unleash learning. And you're an expert at that. So
Thanks.
I know you don't use PowerPoint, you use different kinds of things, but what are some of the things we should think about for using things like PowerPoint when it comes to stories or symbols or pictures to really make learning unleashed?
Well, look, I go back to the early days when they used to paint huge epic pictures of battles or Greek myths or whatever it was, and they were early day cinema. They would have a storyteller and they'd have someone talking to the picture and they'd explain what had happened. And I don't think anyone as a teacher or doing a keynote or whatever is any different. And to me, it's like a dinner and a show. I think to me it's a bit like a bit of stand-up or a bit of performance or a one-man show. And I think there has to be drama, there has to be story, there has to be pathos, definitely humour.
Yeah.
I think is really important. But there has to be an arc. It has to be that whole story. And I just, I kind of take people up, I bring them down, and I kind of, hopefully, because I talk a lot around mental health and well-being. So, my ultimate key is A, prevention, and B, hope. Giving people that sense of hope that they can leave, enlightened or inspired to have a conversation with one another. So I suppose, for me, one of the things that I do, and I was thinking about this again on the way over here, was quite often at the beginning, I'll say, you're going to see a lot of images. You're going to see a lot of illustrations drawn by me. And just keep your heart, mind and soul out for the ones that resonate. And what I do is I come back to it at the end and I kind of bribe people by either giving them books or prints, and I say, who would like to share the images that really stuck with them. And the reason why I do this is because I've been doing this for about 3 years now. I'm yet to see 2 people in the same room have the same image that they really like. And what it made me realise is that we're all on a different path and all on a different journey, and different things resonate to different people. And another question I'll quite often ask is I'll say, who can tell me how many slides we saw today? And on average, people say 25 to 30 slides. But on average, my slide deck is around about 80 to 90 slides. So it's that whole kind of rhythm, it's talking, it's having timing, it's making the content interesting, and it just should seem seamless. If that makes sense.
One of the things what you're saying to me is you're not dumping information, but you're actually, and this is the language that we use, but unleashing something.
Yes.
And you're doing it through a story, and you've got an arc, you've got a storyline in many ways of how that's doing it. And you're making it, the way you describe it, it's really the heart to the head rather than the head to the heart.
Absolutely. And look, I see people, and you would see the same with them, when you go and see conferences, I see amazing people doing amazing things, who are doing really interesting projects, who are incredibly knowledgeable about what they do, but what they present is so it's just bullet by bullet
Death
point.
by
Pie,
bullet point.
pie charts.
That's right. Fantastic. Well, this is a perfect transition. So what we're going to do is this, if I can grab them. We've got a question for you, and Matthew has graciously donated a whole bunch of the stuff that he does, books and posters and pictures. So our question for you is this, and you have a chance to get them, is what is your one takeaway from what Matthew's talking about using pictures, stories, or symbols in your classroom? Or if you took our online program, what's something that you've done when it comes to pictures, stories, or symbols? So add your comments below. Our team is going to find the best comments and mail you one of Matthew's books or images so you can see how he's doing that. While you're there, our virtual program is just about to launch. So if you want to get on board for that, make sure you sign up for early bird notification and join class of 2019. You'll learn how to use story, symbols, and images during that program. So Matthew, I think your work is so important. You know that. I've told you a million times, so I hope the people watching get to see the books and see what you do. So thank you for the work that you do.
And you too, William. Congratulations to you. I think what you're doing is awesome. So
I appreciate that. Thank you. And we thank you for the work you're doing for the world. A picture can change a student's life and make this world better. So hopefully you got some ideas of how to do that, and we will see you next time. Thank you.